everybody. And so due to the fact that a lot of people seem to be either confused or mistaken or just, I wasn't feeling great about the clarity of this assignment, I am giving you all a retake, and I recreated and reworded some of these questions. So you can get all the points possible as long as you do the retake if you want to get a better score. And so it's not just like fixing your questions. Because I just am feeling like I would be writing a lot of the same comments for everybody. So we're just going to go through it as a class. If you want to redo it and get a better score, you can fill this out. If you don't want to, you just turn it in and leave it blank. But I suggest everybody tries this. If you did not get above a 12 or even above a 15, you should retake it. All right, so this was the rock pocket mouse story. So we're going to go through it again. The pre-question I rephrased. Before it was talking about giraffes. It's still the same question. I just worded it how I taught you guys. So now the question states, is it possible for an adult individual to change the characteristics it has or was born with in its own lifetime? For example, think of the birds on the Galapagos that we started this whole unit out with. Can these birds decide to grow their beaks and make them larger in order to crack harder seeds? Can it sit there and go, crap, I'm starving and all that's left is hard seeds, but I can't crack it with my small beak. I gotta grow my beak. Can this happen? And explain to me why or why not. I did forget that. All right, so there, explain why or why not. So that is 2 points. So telling me if they can and why they can or why they cannot. All right, so again, I will read us the story. The rock pocket mouse lives in the brown rocks of the desert. I think it's on Hawaii. It might be Arizona. I can't remember, but it is a true story. Most of these rock pocket mice are light brown in color. They live in the desert. However, there is a population of darker colored rock pocket mice, and they live on black volcanic rocks. Because a volcano erupted 10,000 years ago that turned the desert rocks that would usually be a lighter color, this volcano with the ash and the magma and the lava and all that stuff hardened. If you've ever looked at the pictures of after a volcano from thousands of years, it now is like tar or like black. So the rocks changed colors permanently. Some of them. There's still some in the reaches that the volcano did not like touch that are still light colored. So light brown has the lighter colored rocks. Dark black volcanic rock has the darker rock pocket mice. All of these mice are the same exact species. So they're all kind of living in the same little area. Yes, there are different kinds of rocks, but it's all in one generalized area. They're not like, one's not in Alaska and one's not in Hawaii. It's all around the same volcano. So you're going to, in number 1, describe the color of the rock pocket mice population 11,000 years ago, before the volcano changed any of the rock, AKA all the rock is light colored. And you're going to need to bold or highlight your answer, which means each of these need to get bolded. So if you think that this light brown colored desert rock would have many light brown colored mice, you're going to need to highlight that answer. And if you believe that there would be all dark colored mice on this light brown colored rock, that would be your answer. You must answer both. It needs to be on both of these, the light brown color and the dark color. It cannot just be one or the other. It is 2 points, 1 for light brown, 1 for dark. Then you're going to need to do the same thing for the next 2, which I will read. So after you answer before the volcano, now you're going to need to answer questions 2 and 3. So describe the color of the rock pocket mice population in the light brown desert rocks. What do they look like nowadays? So light brown desert rock, what do these mice look like? If you think that there is no chance, not one single animal that is dark colored, you would say none. If you think they're all 100%, there's not a single dark color, you would say all light brown. But you need to put both. So you need to say all and none, or you need to say most and few, or many and Most, I don't know, but fill them both out, please. And the same thing with number 3, but now on the black dark rock that the volcano did in fact touch and change the color of. All right, now we're getting into our models. So we talked about our natural selection model. We talked about that limiting factors exist and cause a struggle to survive. So think about the Galapagos finches. The limiting factor that happened was their food. Their food changed because there was a drought. Now we need to figure out what changed with the rock pocket mice that caused a struggle to survive. Why can some of them live and some of them can't? So we're going to fill out each step and explain how the rock pocket mice found on volcanic rocks are almost all dark colored. Hint. While ones on the desert rock are almost all light brown in color. Hint. So if you didn't answer that right in number 2 and 3, go back right now and fix it. Right now. Fixed it? Okay. So, A, what was our limiting factor? What happened in this story of the rock pocket mouse that caused some of the mice to struggle to survive? And which ones are now struggling? So something probably exploded. Something probably happened probably about 10,000 years ago that changed the environment that the rock pocket mice live in. You should probably write that down and explain what happened. And maybe which ones now struggle to survive because of this change or occurrence. Letter B, populations have variations in traits. We saw this with, again, the Galapagos finches where they had small, medium, and large beaks. With the beans, there were small, medium, and large beans. What else? I don't know. We looked at everything. The worm eaters, for example, they had different beak shapes. There's spoony, sporky, forky, fortuitous, all those. So what are the variations of mice that are described in this introduction? Hint, there's only 2 options. Just write down the 2 options. What are they? What are the 2 differences in mice? Letter C, organisms now with the best or better or advantageous trait for the environment will survive. We call this survival of the fittest. For our example with the Galapagos finches, the ones with the larger beaks survived because they could eat the harder seeds. They had the better trait. Who has the better trait in this situation? Which mouse out of those varieties, remember there's two variations we've talked about, which kind of mice or mouse has the better trait? In other words, which mouse survived and why? You could maybe talk about in the light colored rocks and you could talk about in the dark colored rocks, but overall, which mouse had the advantage? Which mouse was better suited to survive and why? Why could they live? What were they doing? What was their advantage? Maybe think about the caribou. We talked about that caribou. One was albino and one was natural colored. And we talked about which one could maybe hide and which one wouldn't be seen. Think about that. Then letter D, traits are passed on from their parents to their offspring through reproduction. So based on what you answered in C for the best trait surviving, what will this baby mouse look like? Again, you might want to talk about in the dark black rock and you might want to talk about in the desert rock and explain why. Which ones are surviving, which ones are producing more offspring because they have a higher chance of meeting their mate that has the same colors, things like that. Explain why these babies are going to look like their parents and what they look like. Lastly, this one is 4 points, and a lot of people just kind of wrote, this is why or something. So I'm going to break it down. We are answering this question. Why are dark colored rock pocket mice found on black volcanic rock? So what happened? I want a story. Like I said, 4 sentences is plenty. If you need more sentences, go ahead and write more, but I need 4 probably. So you're going to explain through a few sentences the story of how this occurred, and why the pocket mice change the color of their fur over time. I just want you to think about, do you think that ash falling from the sky, snow, let's do snow. We all know about snow. Snow falling from the sky, can that turn my hair white? Just think about that in your explanation. Just think about that. So things to write about or think about is number 1. What did the mice look like before the volcano happened? What was their situation? How were they looking? What was their fur colors? What was going on before this volcano? Then you might want to say, hey, volcano happened and some of this rock turned black or darker colored. And then you should explain to me why some started dying and which ones were dying and where. Then you can explain to me what caused the change in fur color. Probably something about being eaten or that struggle to survive. What is going on? Why are these mice changing? Is it because they don't have water? Is it because they don't have food? No, I'm telling you, it's already been said. So take the information that you wrote in A, B, C, and D, and you're combining it to make a coherent explanation. So like a reasoning of why are dark colored pocket mice found on black volcanic rock? Like, where did they come from? Why is this happening? So I hope this clarified for you all. I hope now that you can understand more of like what we were looking for. We are not looking for in the answers like for A, B, and C, true, false, yes, no. That's not what we want. We want you to explain this phenomenon of pocket mice changing or adapting from a lighter fur to a darker fur. If you have any other questions, you reach out to us, Hangouts, Google Chat, whatever. But I hope this was clarifying for you. And I know you guys can all do this. So just if you take the time to retake this and listen to this, I was gonna say podcast. If you listen to this YouTube, we got you and we're here to help.